Can y'all hear me? What's going on? What's going on? It's your man, Mr. X. I'm here with the Sankofa on, looking a hot mess, but trying to do what I do for the people, giving you what you want to give you what you need. We are very trying times, brothers and sisters. I was thinking about this the other day. There's always that one person that's watching. Are you an agent following me, brother or sister? Or you may just be someone who's very loyal. If you are, I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that. But I'm going on at like 12:31 in the morning. That one person is always there. Okay, now he gone. Maybe I called him. Maybe I scared him away. In any case, what's good, y'all? I hope that you are doing okay in these trying times. Um, our people are going through a whole lot. America's going through a whole lot. The world is going through a whole lot. It's like some out of a zombie movie, except ain't no Walking Dead. And trust me, when I see those videos of people in these bags and they are scheduled to be buried, I'm looking hard to see if any fidgeting is going on there. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. I ain't playing, man. I don't watch too many zombie movies, read too many zombie books to know how this go. And it's kind of following that template of different contagions and viruses that have mutated and infecting the global populace and turning them into ravenous, bloodthirsty zombies. Except at this point, it is killing a very small percentage of the people it affects. But if you look at 360 million in North America, if you take away just 1%, you're talking about 5 or 6 million people. That's biblical proportions there. If you're talking about year in and year out, and you have one populace whom isn't reproducing um, themselves, is it a blessing from God? Is it Ogun? It may be, but this is the beginning stages. It is expected to get worse. I want you to make sure you can see the Kobe Bryant jersey. More and more people are visiting our brother because of this coronavirus. One thing they're not doing is getting specific uh, with the virus. Who is dying? What was their health background? They have mentioned that people with compromised immune systems. I'm clicking on the web page here. I got a couple pages up dealing with different information. But basically, this is a show on possibilities, and it'll get movie-ish. But I want our people to start seeing down the line because of our global, collective economic situation. Um, we are used to living day to day. As a matter of fact, our ancestors went through such grievous things as having banks that they created and put their money in ransacked, uh, and in slavery, when they got a little bit of money, that they would spend it right away because the assumption was the slave master or his friends would take our money. And there is documented proof of that our money was just taken. They decided to take things from us, they did it. And so we combated that by being mass consumers, amongst several other mitigating factors. Um, uh, in this case, now we're looking at a global pandemic, and that unity that we were supposed to have and been preaching for a very long time has not come. Unfortunately, with this type of pandemic, it would be suicidal to come together in one mass group of people. We need more time to see what exactly is happening with this virus, incubation period, the symptoms, how long it takes for them to show, what happens if it's left untreated, how do you treat it? You treat it like a common cold, which you can't really treat. You treat it like the flu, which you can't really treat. I mean, medicine really just deals with symptoms, not the actual virus. It's coming upon you as an individual, how strong your immune system is to effectively combat it. Um, we have since dispelled that melanated people cannot uh, uh, get this virus, as Idris Elba, um, two Utah Jazz basketball players, Assemblyman Charles Barron, the man I had the pleasure of meeting, very strong revolutionary brother. He has contracted it. So now it really just is incumbent upon us, for those who we know have it, we have to keep updates on them. We have to check in on them, see how they're doing, see how they're progressing, so that our people have a level of hope. I suggest anybody who's positive do a diary, and we have to go through. We have to start asking questions. This is the movie, but we're philosophizing here. A lot of great things I was saying to my wife, and things I was saying to some of my conveners with our organization. And I'm like, damn, this is good stuff. I should write it down because I don't want to forget it for the live. Because I was talking about these things earlier in my Facebook live to Quinn Mr. X. You can Facebook request me if you appreciate the information that's being given. Go to the Facebook, do Quinn Mr. X. You can like the Facebook page, get your hand in my pocket. As you know, I'm on YouTube. Subscribe, thumbs up, and all that good stuff. We're trying. There's so much black media, and we have done so much. And I say we because I'm new. As you see, the page is relatively new, a few years ago, and I still haven't consistently done show after show after show, because most times I'm on Facebook. If you want to catch me, I do a lot on Facebook. Um, but I subscribe to the nationalistic belief system of the black media from our perspective. And I think because I've taken this to the forefront of the local government, and I believe this wholeheartedly. This is not a character or caricature I'm playing when the camera is on. I'm like this all the time. And I organize with this same perspective. I build with young people and other black people from this perspective. So it's restrictive in essence because you are looking to do things with black people. You want black people to be independent, and you want black people to be able to be problem solvers. Well, we got a very big problem now, and we can't look to the dominant society to fix our problems. We talked about martial law. We talked about the Constitution being suspended. We talked about different plagues that are enacted on the populace and what the federal government will enact to combat it. And so we're getting all these different messages from different governors, those who are leading their states. And they're getting a lot of press nowadays because the American populace is looking at them. We're all looking for instructions from our leaders. This is the American populace I'm talking about, not the black leadership. We just want to know what's going on. And we have some of our other brothers and sisters, Brother Jabari, Brother Polite, to name a few, Brother Red and Blue Pill. I don't know if you guys follow them or not, know them, but they're doing their own research on the information. Shout out to Brother Black Hot Fire. And I'm listening to all of them. And everybody has got similar information. And so what I'm getting is that we shouldn't worry too much. We can attract it, but at the same time, we are strong enough to be able to defeat it, which is good news. We're the beginning and we're the end. So they're looking for a virus to be able to kill us off. But the Black Authority, Jason Black, came up with something I thought was very compelling. He said that close proximity to the germ will allow it to adapt to us, thus having a stronger effect, the mutation, which could happen, tomorrow, next week, 2 months, 2 years, 5 years, 15 years, as long as it has access to melanin. But, this is a virus that we've never seen before, so we don't have any immunity to it. And how strong is our melanin? Is the true God element? Then we should be able to survive it. Will we lose people? Probably. Then you have to go specific. Whom did we lose, and how was their immune system? Was it an infant? I have a young infant on the way. The hospitals are going to be flooded. As more tests come out, more people will test positive. They're talking about mandatory quarantines, isolations, But what does that mean? That means someone's going to force you to go into isolation. Or where? Governor of New York, Cuomo, I'm talking about, he suggested that other buildings that are not occupied become hospital centers. I have foreseen that coming too. We will watch movie, brothers and sisters. We watch movie after movie after movie. We watch horrors. We watch thrillers. Some of this information, based upon this very topic, they have dealt with, and they're going right down the script, like they were prepared for it, or they knew this thing was going to happen. And so they're getting away from pointing blame, which is good because I don't care who this point is. It's here. Yeah, the devils did it. It's here, and I think someone should cover that. Because once we beat it, we had to have documented information on how to handle it, who did it, so the next generation will know. We can't have them dealing with something that may come up again 50, 60 years down the line, and they find out that we combated it, we successfully beat it, but we didn't leave them information, so they had to start from scratch again. We can't have that. But Cuomo was talking about, and I'm sure other governors will do it as well, retrofitting different buildings so that it can be used as a facility, a medical health facility. And again, like I said, I thought that was something that was going to happen because the hospitals are going to get overrun. And we see that all the time in zombie movies, right? They get overrun. There's too many beds, there's too many people start dying, they turn into zombies, and they take over the hospital. And then from the hospitals becomes the epidemic because people get sick, they get fearful, they go to the hospital. Then there's areas where you can go and get tested. And like I said before, they're talking about mandatory. So now what are they gonna do? Put you in the L and take you to a hospital bed? Are they gonna allow you to call your family? You know what I'm saying? Where people just start going missing. So the incubation period that I'm looking at is America's response, the federal government's response. Every day they're talking tougher. Before it was self-quarantine, now it's mandatory quarantine. You know what I mean? People are trying to get in front of it and say, hey, white daddy, chill, I got you. I'm going into self-quarantine. But now they're releasing all these funds that they didn't say they had when we talked about reparations. Now they got all of a sudden $50 billion, $70 billion, all this help is on the way now. You know what I mean? Because it's attacking white folks. These are all white people. Those who are lighter non-white, but they be given white status, this is directly attacking them. We're talking about Italy and the coon dude that worked for the CDC. He was with Trump talking about, we can have a situation where we have Italy or we can have South Korea. I'm not too familiar what South Korea is doing. I think they have a great amount of testing, and they're testing people every chance that they get. But when they use flowery language, I almost feel like they're terminating people who test positive. America responds with violence. And so I foresee tanks rolling down the street to make sure a mandated curfew is followed. Because here they've already talked about a curfew. 8 p.m., certain businesses will close, but nothing will be open after 8 p.m. So that's pretty much a curfew. The next thing is we don't want nobody on the street after X amount of time. You see what I'm saying? And so they're going to put laws in place, probably mandating that everybody get tested and that you get some type of markup if you get tested, whether it be positive or negative or whatever. You see what I'm saying? The reality is there's certain things they won't be able to do because their beds will be overflown, and if people are recovering or doing better to make room in the hospital, they're going to have to let people go. So they're going to go back into the populace, possibly still positive. You see? So then they go home like everything's cool. They're talking about a ban of gatherings of 50 or more people for the next 2 months. So all the events that we have planned, those are pretty much done. I'm looking long term. Someone, a trusted associate of mine, told me that Target, if one employee is ill at a particular site, they're going to shut down the site. You can almost guarantee that every business on the planet or at least in the United States, has one infected individual, either in the establishment or working for that establishment. And so what do? Do you shut down everything? Now, what can be done and what can't be done? You see, some these are the questions we got to ask. Are they going to stop and restrict state to state travel, even in cars? You know what I mean? They're going to shut down the trains. They shut down. So these are all jobs that people are not going to. So they have to find funds to replace that. So people basically on paid vacation, more or less. Do you have unlimited resources? I mean, they got a printing press, so you can print money all day, whenever you want. That's why a dollar ain't worth shit now, because they can just print it out. I see people going into stores, getting guns. You know, that story, or whenever you got any level of unrest or a pandemic or anything, America is pro-gun. It's a pro-gun country. 95% of the movies got guns in them. Somebody's shooting and blowing somebody's head off. The American populace loves it. At the same time, it's hypocritical. It says gun buyback, give up the guns, illegal guns, basically criminalizing black people for having weaponry like white folks who got illegal guns. Of course they do. This is how we get them. So you got a pandemic and you got white folks going to get more guns than they already got. I don't know what's going to happen to the mass of black people who are knowledgeable to say, hey, I'm going to give me a rifle too. Are you going to not sell to them? Are white folks there that's living on the outskirts? Because they are, and they are. What are they thinking when they see this? Are they waiting for a breakdown in society to come out of the woods that they live in, because they do live out there, because they hunt all day, every day? Are they planning an attack on us? These are things you got to start asking yourself, because every day you turn on the news and you hear Cuomo or Trump or any other governor speak, they're speaking harder than before. Like I said, it was 500 people, then it went to 50 people, then it went to 20 people. Now Trump talking about 10. You remember the vagrancy law? 6 people around each other, 6 black people together at one time. No, y'all planning a revolution. Y'all planning an insurrection, a rebellion. Break it up. I see that all the time. I travel all around the city. I see that all the time. 6, 7 brothers just congregating, chilling, not bothered. And we already had an issue with that before. Now they got even more of an excuse to break that up. You see what I'm saying? One thing they're not going to disband is the armed militia, known as the police. And they've already talked about getting the National Guard and other personnel. I'm sure people who just recently retired is going to get phone calls to come back on duty. That's always one of the things that's a possibility. Those who were in service beforehand will get called back based on the need of the United States. You know, they talked about martial law and employing outside entities to come be an independent security apparatus. But that becomes tricky because there's a travel ban. But, you know, the Taliban got on an airplane, they were on an active ban. They were on the most international most wanted list. They was right there, just, and they asses got in. They got on a plane, they hijacked it, and they ran it into them, the towers. So who's to say this group of people can't come over on an airplane, lighten their skin, give them some American gear, and be in the streets in the black community in the next 2 weeks? Brothers and sisters, the schools will not open the rest of the year. That's my prediction. In New York, they've given us 2 weeks. They've given an extended spring break, but at the same time, they've said the students do not have to come back. If they don't want to, they can take classes online. Yeah, I ask questions. That's the beauty of being an independent contractor, Uber driver. You are an essential need. There's people who need transportation that can't walk from one city to the other, so they're going to need that. So unless they find out that you tested positive, You know what I mean? They're gonna, they'll do what they got to do, but ultimately, puts me in a position like everybody else to be infected. And, going across the street, going in any store with all those people touching and fighting each other. Um, the administration said, do not be buying things off the shelves because there's enough food for everybody. Well, that's the reason why people are buying stuff. They don't believe me. So we have to wade and wade through the BS because some things we can believe and some things that we can't. So we have to look at this stuff, man. And I hate that when I have these conversations and all this great information comes out of me. But when it's live, I'm like, hey, what did I say earlier? Because I was dropping some heavy heat, based on just what they were giving us. The symptoms. Symptoms are no different than allergies. They're no different than the common cold. They're no different than flu. Well, it's flu season. It's allergy season. It's cold season. We're about to run into all of that because the temperature is fluctuating. I saw that Friday it's going to be 70 degrees. Just a few weeks ago, it was 70 degrees, and then 3 days later, it was 40 degrees. You're going to get people sick with that drastic of climate change. You got people going outside with when it was 70 with shorts. The women can't wait to show what they got. 70 degrees, they was out there. It's like, honey, it's going to be 35 degrees tomorrow. They don't care. I'm got it popping right now. When you coughing and hacking the next day, you got the coronavirus. And your mindset is you're not taking it real seriously. And then you go into a place of business where you work, where other people know all about it, and they're looking at you like, "Oh, you don't know?" You're like, "No, I don't know." And trust me, brothers and sisters, there are brothers and sisters who don't know what the hell is going on. They ain't gonna find out until they try to go to a restaurant or a bar or something, and it's closed at 8 o'clock. And like, "Yo, what's going on?" And then that's when we find out. This is why Francis Cress Welsing talked about black people used to interact with each other by saying what's happening, because black people don't never know what's happening. That's the first thing I thought about when it started to pick up in intensity. What's happening? Well, we got to be on this. Nothing else matters at this point right now. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. We need to focus entirely upon this thing right here. Doesn't matter who the president is. It never mattered. They all did the same things. So we don't even need to focus on that. Because eventually they got to come up with a reason or a way for people to vote. Well, we ain't even thinking about voting. It becomes now, what you going to do about this virus? Because I really don't think it's going to kill, this ain't a targeted thing for black people that we are going to die in mass numbers with this thing. I guess you can say that if it takes out 1% of black people, they've accomplished the feat that they wanted. Because now you can put an extermination date on us. And there are far more of them than us here on this rock, this North American rock. So you have to project here. People are saying martial law. I believe that. Do they have enough military people to do it? They don't. So who are they going to call in? Who are they going to assist? Can they fight two battles on two different fronts, home and abroad? They control here and they control other countries. They got military bases in other countries. When they call for assistance, do they empty those facilities to take care of home? Of course, they're going to between home and abroad. They're going to take home every time. And it will give those people opportunity to rebel. But this thing is a global thing. So are they even the mindset of, hey, we can get this monkey off our back right now? Or we all need to pull together because we're all going to lose a whole bunch of numbers and won't be able to do anything. But is that a bad thing? What is this? What are we leading to here? Are we talking about a mass extinction event that they were trying to do anyway? 85 to 90% of the population gone from the planet. Iran has already built. They were building a mass grave site. I think last year, so 4 or 5 months ago, probably preparing for this. And I've seen this in these movies. The governments will have information, projections, as Governor Cuomo said, numbers, dealing with numbers. Look at the numbers. More cases are going to be confirmed every day. Every day I wake up with dread because I know more cases are going to be confirmed. More testings are going to be involved, put out there. And so who's going to be brave enough to say, hey, let me check this and see if I got it? Not thinking of what they're going to do to you if you got it. You see what I'm saying? Because part of that history of American dominance or European dominance is that when combating something, they just eradicated the affected people. What did they do to Jews? When they gave the propaganda that they were just disease filled and cannon fodder of the society, well, just kill them. Same thing they did with blacks. We're stupid. Are we going to look at the possibility of a created biological warfare, considering that this has been a way of attack against us for the last 100, 200 years? Biological warfare. You see what I'm saying? And we find out that AIDS was a white man's disease amongst his gay brethren. And all of a sudden, we became the face of the HIV virus. Now it's spreading in Africa. Well, how did it get to Africa? You understand? How was it the face of gay folks, gay white men, and now we're the face of it? You see what I'm saying? They create this narrative of the down low man who was biracial and giving sisters HIV. So we got all these stories that suggest, every few years, SARS, H1N1, swine flu, I think is the same thing, bird flu, all these different diseases that come up that we have to have this discussion about, but it never hit nationally. It was like, there's something we got to watch at. We got some cases in Colorado, some cases in Utah, Mexico, New Mexico, whatever. And then all of a sudden it kind of dies down. We worry about other things. Then it dies down. In this case, you got them world maps where it's red everywhere. That's one thing you're scared to see because they show that in the movies. Remember the World War Z? It was like how fast this thing is spreading, and it showed red all over the globe. And you're looking at it and you're like, we're screwed. Like, is there a person on the planet that's not infected? Because let's ask questions. What if he got it, shows no symptoms, it lays dormant in him, but he can pass it? So he's straight, but he can give it to others that can possibly kill them. And how do you combat that? Because you're looking at it like this is basically a way of life now. Society as we know it is completely changed. And I've had visions, I'm not gonna lie to you, brothers and sisters, of society changing drastically. I don't have good dreams. I don't know if you call it an empath or whatever. My mother has visions, and when she visions stuff, people die. I told her, it's like, Dan, why you don't ever vision us winning the lottery? Can we get a lottery vision? And she says she sometimes vision numbers and stuff like that. Well, play them damn numbers. I want some good news. Every vision we got is something bad. Why we always got to see somebody die? The only other good one is when they have the fishy dreams when they know that a pregnancy is coming. But how about we got the pregnancy on top of the lottery numbers so that we can pay for the damn? You know what I'm saying? We ain't got a dime to our name ever. So we get pregnant, we got children, we ain't got no money. Let's combine it for once, huh? So we can just focus on our happiness and be happy because the child won't have to worry about nothing. We don't have to worry about nothing because we about to win the lottery. I'm just saying. But I have these visions of just death and destruction. I used to have these dreams of zombies. I would get eaten by zombies all the time, or be overrun by zombies. That's because I used to watch and see these movies. And a lot of these movies I watched were very destructive, but I would learn from them. A lot of different things. And you can see the movements. V for Vendetta is a very good movie to watch in regards to something like this. Because it dealt with basically a revolutionary who had infected the populace with the thought and feelings of revolution. And so the power structure was trying to restrict that because he had guaranteed that he was going to strike at a particular date and time. He was going to destroy a national monument. And so as that time got closer, people were believing in it. And so the military branch there and the state government and local officials were trying to find out a way to combat it. And so what did they do? They come up with more strict laws and curfews. They wanted to tap people's phones. They wanted to know who was talking to them. They wanted more arrests. They wanted more arrests. And what's it called? Instigations or no. What's that word, y'all? Help me out. Interrogations. More interrogations, and it became an iron fist. It became the martial law. Basically, he suspends the Constitution and puts the law in the hands of the people who are carrying out um, the guidelines and infrastructure of the dominant society, of the government. So any nerd with a issue that had issue before, when laws and rules were enacted and followed for the most part, now you have to worry about that no more. So an outright asshole can be an outright asshole and not have to answer to nobody. It's like the movie Detroit, when things broke down in Detroit for a couple of weeks, and there was civil unrest, and brothers and sisters were rebelling and whipping ass, burning shit down. Um, a white man cop was running after a black kid. I don't know if he was stealing something or they just saw him and thought he was suspicious or whatever. You know how that is, and they started chasing him. The brother was breaking on him. He was working. So the dude just pulled out his gun and shot him in the back. And so later on that day, they had an investigation. They pulled him into the office, and it was like, "Yo, we seen that he was running. You shot him in the back." He told him, "You're a racist piece of shit. I'm gonna suggest that you get fired." This is the thing, though. This was the trick. He gave him his gun and badge back and said, "After everything is taken care of, probably gonna suspend you." But he went back out to work in the war zone where black people were whooping ass. So he just killed a brother. You gave him his badge and gun back, called him a racist piece of shit, but he kept his job. Go watch that movie. And the dude pretty much stayed employed with law enforcement for a pretty long time afterwards. So that didn't happen. So they wanted to have that liberal thought process in there that people, white folks were really behind black folks, but in reality it wasn't. And so now these guys in martial law are on the front lines making decisions. He was a power player within that movie. He was a decision maker. He was a shot caller. He organized all those things that happened within the movie. I'm not going to deal in any spoilers, but brothers and sisters were brutally harmed in that movie under his direct command. And so they have National Guardsmen, they have Army, they have police officers all working hand in hand when dealing with that. And they hope within the stabilization or restabilization of government that these certain things will be documented or whatever have you. And that's what we call white on white crime, because you got the Army and the police, and they're all acting independently of each other. So if the National Guard getting some type of skirmish, the other branches are probably like, "That's on you, bruh. That's your thing. I don't know nothing about that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn around," because they still got that code. But they may come out with a movie or a documentary or something like that because of the severity of what was done and information that was given back to the powers that be. So they go for that stuff. And so this is what we're looking at, possibly. And I like to paint a broad portrait or story of what could happen in regards to us. Because again, we don't own any institutions. We don't own the bank. Can't nobody call on the bank on behalf and say, "Hey, we need worker relief, employee relief. So $50,000 or $100,000 or $15 million need to be released so that people have stipends who are unable to work because of the coronavirus." We don't have educational buildings that says this is what we're going to do. We're going to cut classes. We're going to cut school to 3 hours. No more than 50 people can be in the building at a time. So everybody's we're there, but we're kind of separated. No class bigger than 5 people. These the teachers are going to have, and we're going to do this because we're sovereign and we don't capitulate to the laws of the land. This is how we're going to do it. We don't have any areas like that we can be off on our own. We've shown that we can be independent amongst ourselves, and they can deliver word to us. We'll be like, "Yeah, we're good. We're good. Thank you." But we already got a contingency plan. We foreseen this coming because we have very smart people who are paid pretty good money to sit in a room and find out what's going on in the outside world and how it possibly affects us. But we're all intermingled amongst each other, even though our people are segregated. We're still in segregation with each other. We still very much are segregated. And it's not a separation, it's not an equal institutional thing here where those who are living high on the hog and we're still at the bottom, still eating the pig hooves and the pig feet and the pig intestines. We're still eating that. And they get the good part of the hog, whatever that is. So when things like this happen, shit rolls downhill. They're better, they are more equipped. You see, a lot of our children, we got 5, 6 schools, publicly funded schools in our city, and they're out for the next 2 weeks. I don't know if they're going to go back to school the rest of the year, to be honest with you. Or they may just send them back anyway. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. It's either yes or no. Either they're going to go back to school or not. Look for the word suspended indefinitely. Look for that phrase. It's already been utilized a few times. We're going to hear more of that. Sheehan had released the edict. Let's see on my phone if I can find it. Man, Sheehan in my local town. I'm dealing with my local town here in regards to what our local mayor is going to, as it suggested for us. And is it scary? No, it's just a leader doing, because she's the mayor, doing what a leader does. You see that other people are taking care of business at home. She has to do the same thing. You know what I mean? She has to do the same thing. I can't find it right here. But it's just simple stuff. You go down the line of things of businesses who operate off 60 or 70, 80 people being in one place at one time. Look at the civil service buildings, right? Those buildings are flooded with people. Food stamps. You go get your stamps and all those benefits. They're flooded with people day in and day out. The courtrooms, they're flooded with people day in and day out. Banks, at a particular time, everybody's going to do their banking. Obviously, restaurants, office buildings, things like that. Train stations, airports. People are still flying. Airport companies are very, very important to this country. There's planes are in the air all day long. People for business, especially big business, are asked to travel all across the country. Matter of fact, I had a passenger who said that she came from Florida and that her job was absolutely not closing. So are they going to restrict state-to-state travel by airplane? This is when those big businesses who give funds to their politicians are sending word to certain people like, yeah, this can't be stopped. There needs to be air travel. There needs to be distribution. The distribution networks need to continue. Supplies need to be distributed throughout the United States. So you have a store that's 24 hours, you may have to close, which is what they're doing with Walmart, for 6 to 7 hours so things can be restocked. So yeah, there's an economic downturn with the stock market plummeting, but there's stocks. They won't show you the stocks that are profiting from what's going on. They show the numbers is going down. But whenever things like this happen, someone's making a lot of money. And like I earlier in my car, we talked about this briefly. He said someone's making a shit ton of money. He was like, yeah, someone is. I picked them up from BJ's. He said there's nothing on the shelves at BJ's. BJ's? You gotta have a membership. It costs $100 a year to shop at BJ's because all you can do there is buy a bulk. That's a bulk warehouse. You can't buy one roll of toilet paper. So people going to BJ's and airing it out. And that's telling. So people seeing the writing on the wall. A lot of times people who are shopping are doing it because they're knowledgeable, and others are doing it because they see other people doing They're dipping into their savings and whatnot. They're making these transactions and they're buying things they feel like they need because they feel like this is going to last for a very long time. Like I said, when I ride around, there's a lot of towns and communities that nobody, our people certainly don't know about. And that's where all those supplies are going. They should have put a restriction on water, toilet paper, tissue, and all that way before. They just now did it. And that would have stopped a lot of confusion and fighting, meaning we weren't very equipped and ready to do this. Community leaders are really divided here and biting us in the ass. We have an acid dislike for one another. It's just a reality. Locally, I don't know how it is in you all cities, but here it is an acid dislike. It really is. And I'm not speaking subjectively. You know, I've seen it, I witnessed it, I experienced it. So even a phone call to say, hey man, what should we do? How you doing? Whatever. People looking at the phone. I ain't calling unless he call me. I ain't calling unless she call me. That's it. And again, like I said, it's hard because you can't gather in a bunch of numbers. You got a bunch of people, a bunch of kids. Do you risk their lives from someone who possibly could be infected, whether we know them or not? That's a decision you got to make. But then you start running out of food, you're gonna make some phone calls like, listen, man, I'm about to be low on food. It could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody. Especially if you already had issues feeding your family. So shout out to those who are working diligently to get volunteers together to feed people uh, during the day hours. Will that be restricted? Who knows? You know what I mean? But they're trying to go all out and stopping this thing. Damn, it's a whole lot of information I had, man. Watch, as soon as I hit the end of the live, I'm gonna remember all this stuff. I need some rest um, because the symptoms are just really oblique and vague. You know what I mean? You can be overworked, completely stressed, and they'll be like, "Yo, that's a symptom of coronavirus." Then what? That's really what it's about. I got it now. What? Idris Elba is saying, I'm good. I'm in good spirits. I feel fine. I feel healthy. I just tested positive. I'm good, y'all. But wait a minute, brother. Are you going to the hospital? Is somebody gonna care for you? Or you being quarantined? They're talking about quarantining New York City. How do you do that? Do you cut them off from the rest of the world? How do you do that? How the hell did you quarantine New York City? How is that gonna happen? What is that gonna look like? You know what I'm saying? Can nobody go outside? Are you gonna have military personnel on the streets? Man, it's crazy out there. I gotta go, fellas, brothers and sisters. I am exhausted. I am. And all we're gonna have is this media. That face-to-face interaction is pretty much dead for a little while. I think that we can communicate through social media like we've been doing. We already was practicing that, so we prepared for it. But you got to also prepare for, if we start finding out more and more information, that is not to their liking. Would they cut it? Would they cut those feeds? Spectrum said they would discontinue services, and a number of other companies said the same thing, which would make sense because if people can't go to work, they can't pay the bills, and it's not their fault. This is not our fault. It's different if you break your wrist and it gets infected, and then you talking about you can't go back to work. It's like, all right, well, you only got a couple more days of personal time, and then we're gonna have to make a decision on you. You got to file for FMLA and all this other stuff. You probably get denied or approved or what. That's something that happened with you personally. This is affecting the entire globe. We've never seen nothing like this. We've never seen in modern times. We've not seen nothing like this, and I'm seeing the seriousness elevate, and I'm glad. I just want this to be on the mind of our people. First and foremost, you got your family, your initial family needs, but that corresponds with the coronavirus. Food, clothing, shelter. If you have somewhere to live, hunker down. Start rationing stuff. You know what I mean? One water bottle a day. You know what I mean? As long as you got money. If you can make money, I won't say spend erroneously, but continue to buy supplies, canned goods, non-perishables, and whatnot, and expect within a week or so that they may say, "Hey, all the grocery stores closed. They shut down. They're not opening no more." Because they already said 2 months uh, that this is going to go on for 2 months minimum. So just think on that, brothers and sisters. I'm tired. I need a nap. Gotta get my daughters like a half an hour. So I don't know about no nap. But I'm out, y'all. SoundCloud.com/GYHOMP. Go to the Facebook, get your hand in my pocket, share it, like it, love it. The Cash App information is on the YouTube page, Mr. XR, capital M, capital R, cash sign, capital MISTER, capital R. I know that's a lot. So check that out. Donate to the cause if you can. At this point in time, we should be saving all that money. But go to the Facebook. Most of the information will be delineated there. And if I have time, I'll go live either on Facebook or YouTube to give more information. All right. Hope you can hear all the volume because I got background noise, stuff like that, got equipment, but that won't happen for a while. So, yeah, it's my wife. Peace.